This whole six strikes nonsense is an attack on our culture. There's been a lot of talk on the internet and nobody's really getting to the root of the problem, so that's what we're going to do here. And then we're going to give you our six strikes against their nefarious six strike nonsense. But first, we need a history lesson because those who do not know their history are doomed to repeat it. Let's go all the way back to 1439, 1430s. Gutenberg invents the press, right? Nobility goes crazy because all of a sudden the peasants have access to information. The price of books is going down. It's disrupting their system that they put together so meticulously, where the scribes would write things in the books had astronomical prices. They didn't want people to have information. They didn't want books to be cheap. It destroyed everything. So what did they do? They stacked the decks. They tried to destroy things. It was an uproar. The printing press changed the world. Information flowed freely. We are at that point in history again, my friends. We're at the point where history could be changed by the free flow of information. Businesses will be different. However, those that are in power right now are still holding on to the old ways, and this new way directly conflicts with the way that they want things to be. So they are stacking the deck. It's not very nice, but that's the way it goes. Before we move on, I kind of want to talk a little bit about copyright, because that also goes into this. The entire philosophy of what copyright is and what we can do as people is all tied into this. Now, copyright, back when it first came out, it's part of the Constitution. It's that important. It's part of the Constitution. When it first came out, it was 14 years. That's how long it lasted. After that, that piece of art was public domain. People were, allowed to make adaptations of it, like Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, stuff like that. They've continued to extend that because they're not comfortable with 14 years. They want more control. Right now, copyright, it used to be, it was like 20 years after the life of the artist, and then it changed. Now it's like over 100 years, and that's what they want. They want to maintain control over everything so that we're not allowed to make derivative works of any of their stuff. They want control because control equals money. It also controls the flow of information, which is something they like as well.
Having a rich public domain is a key part of our culture. When things are out of copyright, they're in the public domain. Anyone can do anything with them.
If you guys want to look deeper into this, deeper than like controlling information flow and deeper than money, you can put on your tinfoil hat and do so. We're not going to do that in this video. We're going to move on and talk about what is wrong with this six-strike plan. So starting in about a month, the big ISPs, we're talking Time Warner, AT&T, Cablevision, Verizon, and Comcast, are getting together with the RIAA and the MPAA, and they're setting in place their six-strike plan that is an attack upon our culture. They all got together and they created the Center for Copyright Information. It's a CCI. Now, they needed a method to, find out who was downloading bad stuff, who's, using BitTorrent and downloading stuff that they own. So they started contacting some outside companies, and they settled on a company called MarkMonitor. Now, MarkMonitor is going to be monitoring everything you do on the internet. And then if you do something wrong or something that they think is wrong, which is really going to be impossible because how can a piece of software really exactly know what's wrong and right? They don't care. You're guilty. So if it detects something that's wrong, you're going to get warned, and that's going to be a strike. And then, sometimes you may have to pay money. Who knows what's going to happen with that? They can throttle your internet connection or even turn you off or maybe even press charges against you. Then they said, okay, we got MarkMonitor for our monitoring software. We better get an independent, quote-unquote, third party to come in and take a look at MarkMonitor and make sure that it's legit, make sure that it's good and it's the right thing. So they hired Strauss Friedberg. Now, Strauss Friedberg, they may or may not know much about this sort of thing, but here's the interesting thing about Strauss Friedberg. They're not an independent third party. From the year 2004 until the year 2009, they worked directly for the RIAA in Washington, D.C. as a lobbyist. The RIAA has paid them $637,000. So now the company that used to be a lobbyist for the RIAA is the company that is hired to take a look at MarkMonitor to make sure that it is legit for doing its impossible task of monitoring you and assigning strikes. What? Corruption. Moving right along here. Have you guys ever heard of Burl A. Howell? Well, she's now a federal judge, and she presides over cases that concern BitTorrenting, sharing files, etc. Now, let me tell you what she used to do, but first I want to tell you some of the things she said. She was put in place by the RIAA. Yes, she was. If anybody wants to argue that, they can come outside and we'll throw down, son. She's come out and publicly said things like, the ISPs deserve copyright trolls for not doing more to stop infringement. And she's been ruling with the copyright trolls against the ISPs. And it's been creating a lot of problem for the ISPs. And so a lot of the ISPs are kind of forced to get on board with the RIAA so they won't have to deal with this nonsense anymore. It's a bully tactic. It's them stacking the deck so that they can maintain control because their way is dying. But if they stack the deck, they'll have a fighting chance. Here's the interesting thing about Burl A. Howell. Not only does she make public statements that show that she is clearly not impartial, she's clearly biased. She makes those public statements. She also used to be a freaking lobbyist for the RIAA. Wendell, it's ridiculous.
Slightly ridiculous.
Corruption.
She also had something to do with the DMCA. She helped write it.
Oh, I almost forgot about that. She did help write the DMCA. Corruption. So they put her in place. Now, these guys are notorious for, looking for the right judges and looking around for the right districts. Just, they keep testing and seeing what works. And they put judges in place whenever they can. And this is the biggest one right now because she's a federal judge. And that's really serious. So right now, I kind of feel like they're using her to bully all the ISPs into doing the 6-strike thing. Some of them want to do it because, like Time Warner and stuff, they're a media provider. They want to punish people and whatnot. But some of them, maybe they don't. They know it's going to be bad for their business. So this is just kind of a little incentive to push them along into the direction that the RIAA and the MPAA wants to go. Strike number 3. We are all guilty until proven innocent, but the tracking system is a joke. It's an absolute joke. We mentioned a little bit when we were talking about whatever the hell what's it called?
MarkMonitor.
MarkMonitor. We mentioned a little bit when we were talking about MarkMonitor. But here's the problem. They, with this system, they're saying that an IP address equals a person. Now, in federal court, they've already determined that IP addresses do not equal people, but they don't care about that. That's why they're fishing around to find the right districts and the right judges, or even stacking the deck with their own judges. That's what's going on there. Also, the punishments for these file sharing cases are absolutely absurd. They're punitive. They're not just damages, and they're not just, like a small punishment. They are made to scare the hell out of people. Let me cite 2 cases. Jamie Thomas Rassett. Now, Wendell, how much was she the first time? It was like...
I think it was $222,000.
Right. So she had that. They offered her a bargain of $5,000. She was like, no, I'm not going to take it. She probably didn't even have $5,000 in the bank, but she didn't take that. So they decided to punish her, and they went for $1.9 million.
They got $1.9 million in a jury verdict.
Yeah, in a jury verdict, the judge reduced that. RIAA decided that they wanted to appeal, because that's all they have time to do is harass their customers. So they appealed it. It went back and forth. Was it 4 or 5 times?
Yeah, it was 5 times, and finally they put the damages back at $222,000. It was, $1.9 million, and then it was $52,000, and then it was $1.5 million, and then finally it was $222,000 again, which is still an absurd amount of money for 30 songs. And
I'm not sure if it was 30 or not. The Joel Tannenbaum was 30 songs.
Oh yeah.
Well, Joel Tannenbaum, 30 songs that were shared on a college network. His fine was $675,000. Life ruined for 30 songs.
I believe that the monetary damages there will also survive bankruptcy, so it can't just
that was the ruling, yeah. Even if he goes bankrupt, he's still indebted to them for his life.
Yeah.
From the RIAA's website. This is how they feel about all that, and this is how they get the math to figure out, how much you owe for sharing 30 songs. While downloading one song may not feel like that much of a crime, the cumulative impact of millions of songs downloaded illegally and without compensation to all of the people who helped to create that song and bring it to fans, which they mostly are talking about themselves because they don't give any money to the artists. In these cases, they even came out and said they're not going to give any of the winnings from these cases to the actual artists. It's all going to the publishers and to themselves. They said it's devastating. And then they cite a credible study by the Institute for Policy Innovation that says that the harm is $12.5 billion a year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, Rob Reed did a really funny TED Talk in which he took the math from that study and applied that math to his iPod, and he said,
these days, an iPod Classic can hold 40,000 songs, which is to say, $8 billion worth of stolen media. Or about 75,000 jobs.
No, I didn't realize how rich I was. I'm going to put this thing on eBay for $8 billion. I'm listing this thing for $8 billion.
They'll probably sue you for unauthorized music left on the iPod when you transferred it.
So $8 billion. That should give you an idea of how absurd their math is. One other thing that's really absurd, some really, truly independent studies came out from the University of Columbia. Some other people have done studies as well, but they've determined that people that share files are 30% more likely to pay for files. It just turns out that people that share files are more into the culture. They like music. They want to share things. They like movies. They share things with their friends, but they're also the ones who consume it. It's a natural human thing to make a tape, or like, hey, I've got Star Trek. Do you want to borrow my DVD? Hey, I've got Noam Chomsky, and now I'm on FBI Watch List, but do you want to borrow it? You won't be on one because I paid for it at Amazon.com. Oh, God. Anyway. I didn't mean to just pick that up, but you know what I'm saying. That's a human thing to want to share.
It's part of our culture.
It is part of our culture, and they want us to stop that. Lastly, the RIAA conducted their own study, and this is leaked from them, but they determined that 70% of all file sharing is done offline, meaning we hand around hard drives and we hand around things to our friend. It's done that way. Only 14% is done on the internet, and that's what they want to stop. We're at a point right now where the internet could explode and become a cornucopia of new ideas, new music, independent stuff. They hate that idea. Strike number 4. If this happens, internet crime, identity theft, those are both going to go up. Here's why. Let's just make a very small parallel here with the drug war. I'm not going to condone drugs. I think drugs are bad, y'all, all right? But the way that they are conducting the drug war is forcing all the criminals to go underground, and it's making things just really rough. I'm not saying that there's a right way, but I am saying that that's the wrong way. By doing this, everybody who wants to do illicit things on the internet, or everybody who wants to be private on the internet, is going to be driven underground. And that means that they're going to be breaking into your Wi-Fi more often than not. A lot of the public Wi-Fis are going to be compromised. There's going to be a lot of false strikes given to people who have no idea that the guy upstairs is using their Wi-Fi. And it's so easy to crack these days. I mean, you can crack WPA and WEP in like 3 or 4 minutes, right, Wendell? I mean, how easy is it?
Yeah, it's terrifyingly easy if you have any of the outdated technologies, and even if you're using like more modern standards like WPA2, if you don't really, you know, select a hard password and stuff like that, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, people are still going to share. It's the bottom line here, and they're going to do it in any way that they can find to do it, and they're going to protect their own privacy. So it's just going to create a headache in that way. Strike number 5. People are still going to practice file sharing offline. They're going to practice quote-unquote safe sharing. There's no way to stop that. They want to stop that, but there's nothing they can do about it. I mean, they always said the VCR was going to, you know, destroy one industry. They said that the cassette tape was going to destroy the music industry, and none of that stuff happened. Right now, they're saying the internet is going to destroy like the entire world. They just don't know how to deal with change. That's the problem.
The one thing the internet might actually do is stop people from rebuying their media.
Yeah, and that's another big issue because they like the fact that you have to rebuy your media. You have to buy your media on 7 different, you know, platforms or whatever. Yeah. If you lose a disc, they like the fact that you have to rebuy it. So
theoretically, even, you know, you download from iTunes and you do the Apple Store thing. Theoretically, that file format should still be good 20 years from now.
Right. Final strike. Strike number 6. The RIAA, the MPAA, all these moronic businesses, the ISPs, and these judges that have been put into place by them all are on the wrong side of history. Again, we started with the printing press, talking about how everybody was freaking out about that. Now they're freaking out about this. They are stopping progress. They're afraid of the world in which their ideas and their business models are no longer relevant.
You know, the real problem with this industry is that they've been middlemen since as long as the industry existed.
Right. And the beautiful thing right now is that we don't need middlemen anymore. There's also one more thing I want to address. Right now they have a lot of money, and it's going to be very difficult for them to all die off and all go away if they still have all this money. Where do they get the money? From you guys. Because you sit on your ass and you watch their stupid television shows, and you go and you watch their stupid, inane Hollywood movies, Boobs and Explosions 17, and you consume their garbage. Nicki Minaj. Yes, I'm naming names because it's garbage. These people would never be famous if they hadn't been shoved down your throats and if you hadn't enjoyed that and allowed it to happen. Maybe you didn't enjoy it, but you allowed it to happen. You're like, oh, all right, I'll take Nicki Minaj. What you need to do is you need to get mad right now that they are stealing your culture. They're stealing your fucking culture, and you're sitting there like an idiot not doing anything about it. We have an opportunity right now to create our own culture on the internet. And what are we doing about it? We're letting them institute this 6-strike nonsense. No, we need to fight these bastards. We need to stand up and tell them that, you know what, we're not going to buy any more of your crap. We're not going to watch any more of your television. If you put up a giant poster for Nicki Minaj, I'm not going to buy her album. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go online and I'm going to find an independent like artist on a website like Bandcamp. I'm going to go find a beautiful independent movie. I'm going to ask my friends what they're listening to. But you guys don't have to consume their garbage anymore. There are so many options out there. If you would just get off your ass and actually do the research yourself, or ask a friend, or find some people to hang out with similar interests, we can beat these guys. And after this goes away, our culture can move on. But until it goes away, they are going to continue to try to replace our organic culture with their garbage culture. And that way they can control information, control how we think, control our money. Is that what you guys want?
Yeah, the great thing about, like, everybody having a smartphone now, and everybody having tablets, and everybody having a computer, and everybody having the internet, is we can all participate collectively. You can seek out these cultures. You can find the metal culture, and you can find the, J-pop culture or whatever the hell.
You can go to websites like Reverb Nation, Bandcamp. You can check out forum threads. You come out, hang out on our website. We've got a lot of people on there who are making independent games. You can check out heavy metal websites if you like those. There's a lot of resources out there for you guys to find good stuff.
DeviantArt, GoGo,
yes.
Indiegogo,
Kickstarter. So this stuff is taken off, and they really want to stop it. Pretty soon we're going to have Mega, and we're also going to have Megabox, thanks to Mr. Kim.com. He's The one that they really love to hate. Oh God, they hate him. If you take away one thing from this video, I want it to be that our cultural shared experience can be a true one. It doesn't have to be a manufactured one like they have. They manufacture all this garbage, they give it to us, and then we talk about it. That is our culture. They are giving us their version of culture, and it's becoming ours. We don't have to do that. There's 8 years of video uploaded every day to YouTube. There's so much content online. There's a gazillion indie artists. We can start sharing that, we can start consuming that, and we can start creating art on our own if we just get off our asses long enough and stop giving them all the money. It'll be easy. If you like this video, please share it. We really, really like to get to the root of things around here. A lot of people just hack the branches all day, but like Henry David Thoreau, we look for the root, and then we try to cut the freaking root so it won't grow again. Also, we've got an entire series coming up on security and on the infrastructure in this country as far as telecommunications goes. Our security video is all about privacy, not piracy. We're not here to condone piracy at all. We just know that a lot of you guys like to keep private on the internet, and of course you'll be able to avoid some of the needless, you know, like strikes that you just get for who knows what. The system is going to be incredibly broken, and we'll find that out very soon. So we'll cover that. We'll cover Tor, we'll cover VPNs, we'll cover proxies. Tor is a little dangerous. We'll talk about that soon. We'll have a video coming up called The Trouble with Tor. So I think you'll enjoy that. Until then, make sure you subscribe, because you're going to want to check out these videos, and we'll have a lot of fun in the meantime. If you're new to the channel, what's up, guys? Good to have you. Let's change the world, and let's take our culture back from these bastards. See you guys next time.